A gas station can move more than $400,000 a month. But the margin on every gallon of fuel sold is less than 4%. That means on a product everyone buys every week, the owner walks away with pennies on the dollar. So where is the real money in a gas station? The fuel market in the United States is one of the largest on the planet. The country consumes more than 360 billion liters of fuel per year across gasoline, diesel, and ethanol alternatives, a volume that places the United States at the very top of global energy markets. There are more than 140,000 gas stations spread across the country, serving trucking fleets, corporate vehicles, delivery riders, and the car of the person who needs to get to work every single day. Fuel is not a convenience product. It is a necessity with no immediate substitute for the vast majority of the population. And that is precisely why the gas station market moves numbers that are hard to ignore. The sector as a whole generates more than $500 billion a year in the United States alone. For a clear reference, that exceeds the GDP of many mid-sized countries. But there's a brutal difference between what circulates inside that market and what actually ends up in the hands of the person operating the station. What few people realize is that fuel is a product with monitored pricing, extremely high taxation, and regulated commercial margins. In some periods, more than 50% of the price a consumer pays at the pump goes directly to federal and state taxes. Another slice goes to the distributor. What is left for the station is a margin that, depending on the market and the moment, falls between 2 and 4% on the sale price. On a gallon of gasoline sold at $4, the station may walk away with less than 15 cents. And here's where everything changes. With that margin, no station survives on fuel alone. The operation of a modern gas station is, in practice, one business sitting inside another. The fuel exists to bring the customer onto the property. What actually sustains the financial operation is everything that happens after the car stops at the pump. The impact of location is just as decisive as the business model itself. A station on a federal highway moves completely different volumes from a residential neighborhood station. A station near a major commercial avenue has a different customer flow from one in a small town. The same structure, the same investment, the same brand, and results that can vary 3 or 4 times over, depending on where the operation is planted. That means, before any number makes sense, you have to understand that there is no single type of gas station. There's an operation that adapts to the territory where it is built. And it is exactly that adaptation that defines how much it costs to build a station from scratch, and why that number is far higher than most people imagine. Opening a gas station is not an investment for someone just starting out in business. The cost of entry is among the highest in retail, and a large portion of it appears before a single liter of fuel is sold. The initial investment in a gas station ranges between $300,000 and $1,200,000, depending on location, land size, number of pumps, and the level of infrastructure required. In high-traffic metropolitan areas, that number can exceed $1,500,000 when the land is purchased outright, rather than leased. It is a capital requirement that few retail businesses demand before opening their doors. The land is the first and greatest challenge. A station needs a minimum area of between 8,000 and 13,000 square feet to operate safely and efficiently. On high-traffic avenues inside major cities, the price per square foot can make purchasing outright impossible for most investors. That is why the majority of new stations operate on leased land, which solves the upfront capital problem, but creates a fixed cost that never stops running regardless of how much fuel is sold. The underground infrastructure is the cost that surprises people the most. Before a single pump is installed, storage tanks must be buried. A station with 4 pumps typically operates with 3 to 4 tanks, each holding between 4,000 and 8,000 gallons. The cost of a double-walled steel tank with leak detection, a legal requirement in most U.S. states, runs between $10,000 and $20,000 per unit. The tanks alone can represent $50,000 or more of the total investment. Fuel dispensers cost between $10,000 and $25,000 each, depending on the number of nozzles and the technology installed. A station with 4 fueling islands, considered medium scale, can invest between $50,000 and $100,000 in pumping equipment alone. Add to that automation systems, fuel inventory management computers, tank-level monitors, and the environmental tracking systems required by licensing authorities. And the licensing process itself is another chapter entirely. A gas station requires approval from state environmental agencies, local fire department clearance, municipal operating permits, and compliance with federal underground storage tank regulations. The full process can take between 6 months and 2 years, depending on the municipality and state. During that time, the capital is already deployed and the operation is not yet generating revenue. The working capital requirement is another factor most people underestimate. A medium-sized station needs to maintain between 80,000 and 130,000 gallons of fuel in rotating inventory per month. Since payment to distributors typically carries short terms, between 3 and 7 days, the station needs the financial strength to honor payments before collecting from customers. That demands working capital of between $50,000 and $100,000, just to keep the fuel flowing without interruption. The minimum team to operate a 24-hour station is between 8 and 12 attendants, plus a shift manager, a cashier, and a stock control supervisor. The payroll of a basic operation represents between $30,000 and $60,000 per month. already including employer payroll taxes. All of that before earning a single dollar. And it is exactly here that the most important part of the story begins. Because when the money starts coming in, it does not come in the way most people imagine. A well-located medium-sized gas station can generate between $350,000 and $700,000 in monthly revenue. That is a number that impresses anyone hearing it for the first time. But there is a fundamental difference between revenue and real income. And that difference is precisely what defines whether a gas station is a good business or a financial trap disguised as high volume. Fuel accounts for between 80 and 90% of gross revenue. But since the commercial margin on each gallon sold is between 2 and 4%, all that enormous flow of money coming in through the pump exits almost entirely the other way, to the distributor, to the government, and to the operational costs of the fueling infrastructure itself. A station generating $500,000 a month in fuel sales may produce between $10,000 and $20,000 in gross margin from that product alone. And that is precisely where the real business model of a gas station starts to reveal itself. The convenience store is where the game changes entirely. A well-run convenience store inside a gas station can generate between $20,000 and $50,000 a month, with gross margins between 25 and 40%. Numbers that have no comparison with what fuel offers. A cup of coffee sold for $3 costs less than 30 cents to produce. A hot sandwich sold for $5 has a production cost of $1. A bag of peanuts, a bottle of water, a chocolate bar. Every item sold inside the convenience store generates a margin that can be 10 times greater than the margin on a gallon of gasoline. Ancillary services complete the revenue structure. A basic car wash generates an average ticket between $15 and $30, with gross margins between 50 and 60% after deducting water, supplies, and labor. An oil change can generate between $60 and $120 per service, with margins between 30 and 40%. Tire service, paid air pressure, wiper blades, brake fluid, additives. Each additional service stacks revenue at margins fuel will never offer. But the fixed costs of a 24-hour operation are relentless. Electricity is one of the most invisible and damaging costs of a gas station. The fuel pumps, compressors, canopy lighting, convenience store climate control and refrigeration systems run without pause. The electricity bill of a medium-sized station runs between $4,000 and $8,000 per month, and that number does not drop on slow days. Land lease, when the station does not own its property, can represent between $5,000 and $15,000 per month in high-traffic locations. Add that to payroll, employer taxes, equipment maintenance, brand royalty fees. When the station operates under a distributor's flag, and periodic environmental license renewals, and the fixed cost structure of a medium-sized station lands between $40,000 and $70,000 per month before accounting for the variable cost of fuel itself. There's also an invisible cost that quietly destroys the results of many stations. Bad debt on corporate fleet accounts. Stations serving company fleets operate on deferred payment. And when a company delays or defaults, the station has already consumed the fuel, already paid the distributor, and absorbs the entire loss in cash. The most important number in this business has not appeared yet. And when it does, it will completely change how you see this entire operation. If you have made it this far, you already know that a gas station does not live on fuel. You already know the margin is pennies per gallon, the fixed costs are brutal, and the real money is in the convenience store and the services. But what nobody calculates before entering this business is how much actually remains at the end of the month, and how long it takes to recover the original investment. Before you see that number, if this documentary is making sense to you, leave a like right now. Every like helps this channel keep producing investigations like this one, showing what really happens inside the businesses everyone recognizes from the outside. And now comes the part that changes everything. A well-located medium-sized gas station, operating with fuel, a convenience store, and ancillary services in an integrated model, generates a net margin between 2 and 4% of total gross revenue. In practical terms, a station generating $500,000 a month may produce a net profit between $10,000 and $20,000 monthly, when everything goes well. That number seems reasonable until you factor in the initial investment, with capital outlay between $300,000 and $1,200,000 to build the operation. The return on investment timeline of a gas station falls between 3 and 7 years, and that assumes a healthy operation with no major setbacks. Poorly located stations with weak management or in highly competitive markets can take a decade to recover the invested capital, or never recover it at all. And the risks are real and constant. The greatest is fuel price volatility. When international oil markets adjust, the cost of fuel replenishment rises immediately. But the station owner often cannot pass the increase through at the same speed, because consumers compare prices between competing stations within just a few miles. That means during oil price spikes, the station can operate with a negative fuel margin for days or weeks at a time. Price competition is a second structural risk. In regions with high station density, price wars can compress fuel margins below 1%, making the entire operation dependent exclusively on the convenience store and services to survive. Stations that have not invested in those alternative revenue sources are completely exposed to that scenario. Brand contract defaults are another risk worth watching. Stations operating under a major distributor's flag, Shell, ExxonMobil, BP, Chevron, pay monthly royalties, and are subject to volume targets that, if not met, can result in contractual penalties or contract termination. Independent stations that buy fuel from smaller distributors have more pricing flexibility, but lose brand support and the customer traffic driven by loyalty programs. When does a gas station actually make sense? When it sits in a strategic, high-traffic location, when the convenience store is managed professionally, when ancillary services are structured and operational, and when the owner has enough capital to survive the bad cycles without compromising the operation. The stations that thrive are the ones that stopped being just gas stations and became automotive service centers with fuel at the front door. The ones that close are almost always the ones that entered believing that selling fuel in volume would be enough to pay the bills. A gas station is one of the most misunderstood businesses in America. Everyone sees the line of cars, the pumps turning, and the constant movement, and concludes the owner must be getting rich. But what this documentary revealed is that the financial reality of a gas station is almost the opposite of what it looks like from the outside. Fuel, the main product, is also the product with the lowest margin in the entire operation. The real money is hidden in the convenience store, in the car washes, in the oil changes, and in the services that most customers do not even associate with the station when they think about that business. The operation that looks simple from outside is, on the inside, one of the most complex in retail, with heavy taxation, relentless fixed costs, constant price competition, and a working capital requirement that demands financial discipline every single day of the year. The main financial lesson of this business is direct. Volume is not profit. A station can move $500,000 a month and net less than a well-run dental practice or a standalone convenience store. The scale impresses, the margin disappoints, and the return demands patience, location, and management. 3 factors that never appear on the price of the gallon of gas you see at the pump every week. Anyone looking at a gas station as purely a fuel business is already looking at the wrong thing. The ones that truly prosper figured that out before they opened their doors. So after all of this, do you still think owning a gas station is a good business?